Coming up on the Cam Show, why Week 4 might be the most important game in Patriots history, at least right now, plus tragedy in the NHL landscape. And we're also going to have Braden Murray back to talk about this Oasis reunion and what that means to him. And it's a Friday edition of Guys Naming Dudes. All that and more coming up on the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. It is the Cam Show. It is powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. We are still, dealing with the news of Jacoby Brissett being named the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. And I stand by everything I said yesterday in terms of this is not just bad, but an embarrassment for the Patriots in terms of not what the kid has done, not what Drake May has done. His development is going along swimmingly, but rather that you have failed to put a team around him. And I'm not saying a Super Bowl team. I'm not even saying a playoff team, but a competent team that isn't going to stunt his career in year one, week one. And that stinks. You should have enough around them to be able to put them out there. It took a couple years for the Bears to tank, but they have a team out there that Caleb Williams can go out there and have some success with. They have a competent offensive line. They have something of weapons out there. They have something of a defense. And it now raises the question, are we going to see Drake May this year? Because if it's so untenable at this point, and it's a long season, but if it's untenable at this point, would it be worth just keeping Drake May on the bench the whole year and doing the true red shirt, which we see sometimes around the NFL? We don't see it as much anymore as we used to, but it might be worth a shot of, hey, let's have this kid learn for a year. We'll figure our own shit out, make sure we have a team that can take the field and make him somewhat successful. And maybe they wait on that. In fact, I saw a good note this morning from Burt Breer, covers the Patriots, and he says since the Flacco-Matt Ryan year, where they both made the playoffs as rookies, 48 quarterbacks have been taken in the first round in those 16 years. 3 of them have gotten the true red shirt, did not play at least the first 15 or 16 weeks of their first season. I think Mahomes got in for one at the end of the year, or one start. So 3 of those have had the true red shirt. Jake Locker, Patrick Mahomes, and Jordan Love. 2 of 3 really ain't bad. One of them is the best quarterback of this new generation. Already has 3 Super Bowl titles. The other one, Jordan Love, certainly looks like he's going to be a star in this league for years to come. And by all accounts, it's just getting started. Jake Locker, you don't hit on all of them. But there is a track record here in the last few years that goes against the grain of what we've seen from quarterback play. And that is, you can take a year. You can learn what this NFL game is. You can take a clipboard and really prepare yourself and still be an elite level quarterback. We've seen 2 show that in the last 6 or 7 years. So it's not crazy. And I get it. It was different kind of circumstances for sure. The Chiefs had a better team. They had basically a playoff team that they had around Patrick Mahomes, and they had a very competent starter in Alex Smith. Same thing with the Packers. They had one of the great quarterbacks of all time playing ahead of Jordan Love in Aaron Rodgers, and they had a good team. They had a team that had just gone to the NFC Championship game. So I get that that's different from the Patriots situation, but there is evidence out there that you can sit a guy for a whole year. That said, because of the difference in situations, I don't think that's the way the Patriots should go. I really don't. I think you are in a scenario where this kid is your future. Obviously, Mahomes was that way at the quarterback position for the Chiefs, and certainly using a first-round pick on Jordan Love had the Packers thinking that way with Aaron Rodgers at his age, but they had a team that those guys are going to lead in the future. Right now, from what we see on this Patriots team, Drake May is the future. So because of that, I think he has to play this year. And I think he's probably ready to play this year. Mahomes and Love probably were at some points too. But this guy, I think, is ready to play at some point this year. And so now, of course, once they announce Brissett's the starter, the first thing we're looking at is what week is Drake May going to play? And look, there's not a lot of winnable games on the schedule for the Patriots, but there is quite a stretch in October, from late September to late October, that is tough, very tough to slot someone in. I'm talking the Jets on the road on a Thursday night, San Francisco on the road, at home against Miami, at home against the Texans. But I'm circling week 4 in there as a time we could see Drake May. At Cincinnati, they're probably going to lose. Home against Seattle, give you something of a chance. Not a great chance. At the Jets on a Thursday night, I'm not loving those odds either. So at that point, the Patriots could be 0-3. And they would have just lost to the Jets for the second time in 10 years on national TV, if that were the case. Then you go to San Francisco. You got 10 days in between games. Nobody is giving you a shot in hell to win in San Francisco. Nobody. Why not Drake May then? If you're 0-3, you know what you have a little bit weapons-wise. You can throw him out there in a game that is complete house money, as house money as it's going to get in the NFL. I mean, we're talking a team that went to the Super Bowl, the best team in the NFC versus what will probably be the worst team in the AFC. Why not, man? Just throw it out there. Hopefully your offensive line has figured something out by then, so he's not going to be, totally ransacked in this game. But you're not going to win it anyway. You've got 10 days in between that you can get him ready for this occasion. And then you've got, the rest of them are good tests. And then hopefully his confidence isn't completely dead. He's had a good game in there, maybe 2, by the time you go to Jacksonville, which is a meh team. Might win the division with meh. They won't beat Houston. But you might be a wild card team with meh. But you go play Jacksonville. That's actually in London, I think. Not Jacksonville. That's the UK's team. So you get that. Then, you're back at home for a couple. So you've got some opportunities to build some confidence in there. But at that point, the Brissett thing is going to be done. I mean, if we're being totally honest, Brissett stinks. I think they would be 0-3 at that point. That's not who your starter is. That's not who's going to give you the best chance to win. I say put Drake May out there. I know some people will say, Cam, that's a stupid argument because you're putting him out there against the best team in the NFC. How is that not going to stunt his growth? I just think you go in there with almost a preseason mindset, honestly. Let's learn some things. Let's just take care of the ball. Let's make sure you can get up to speed with what this NFL regular season's like and what these mixed coverages are going to look like, how teams are going to try to confuse you. Let's get that out of the way in a game we're not going to win anyway, and then we'll build your confidence up from there. I'm not saying go in and, there's that argument where you lose your confidence for 4 games in a row, then you might not get it back, but I think this kid is good enough that he can make some plays on his own. I really do. So when I'm going after this, I'm thinking of a situation where Drake May is going to play and he's going to get confidence no matter what, because he can make some plays, man. He can make some plays. And then you see what you got, a good barometer the next 2 games after that with the Dolphins and the Texans. Again, honestly, I don't see any of those is really winnable. I mean, there's a chance the Patriots are 0-6 going across the pond. That's a real possibility. But I think if he's not in that first month, so let's put it at, I'll give it till after week 5 against the Dolphins. If he's not in at that point, then I might be on board with the red shirt. If it's not something that can salvage your season now, then maybe I'll sit back and wait and see how long he's going to learn. But honestly, I don't love the idea of the red shirt. I'd rather see what this kid's got in a season where you're not going to win anyway. So I think the only thing for me was the safety. I know it's a contact sport, but you put him out there with this offensive line, and it's just asking for an injury. It just is. And I would rather that be a little bit more secure of a situation for him to go out there, find out how this NFL game works, and hopefully build some confidence, again, for a team that's not going to win. They're not going to win a lot of games anyway. They're not going to beat San Francisco. Why not put him out there? Why not see what he's got this early in his career and see if this actually was a quarterback competition? Because Gerard Mayo lied to you. Gerard Mayo lied to you, to me, to the media, to anyone who follows this team. He said this was a quarterback competition. Best guy's going to play. Then he said the best guy's Drake May, and Drake May's not playing. So we talk about all the shit that Drake May could... We talk about how Drake May's confidence could crater because you put him out there too quickly. Well, how about the confidence getting cratered because he was told he was the best quarterback and that he's also not the starter? Do we worry about a mental aspect there? It seems like the same reason for why we're keeping him on the bench also could hurt him for not getting him off the bench. To me, it just seems two-sided. It seems talking out of both sides of your mouth. Hey, our best guy is Drake May. Oh, and our best guy is going to win the job. Oh, but not that best guy. We need to have the veteran. Then it wasn't a quarterback competition. Which, if you had said that from the beginning, we would have been fine with. But instead, they lied to you. That's not a quarterback competition. You already said who won the competition, and that guy's not the starter. How is that a competition? Competition means the best guy wins. This is not a competition. It's a popularity contest. It's a resume contest. And we know Jacoby Brissett a little bit more than we know Drake May, even though we know he's not as good, apparently. That's what the coach told you. That's not what I'm telling you. That's what the coach told you. But he can't start. Pfft, stupid to think that. I think week 4 could be a time you could go in there against San Francisco. You're not going to win that game anyway. Let's see what the kid's got when he's playing on the other side of the country with 10 days to prepare and with total house money. Before I go on to the next segment, which we're going to have Braden Murray and we're going to talk about Oasis, shocking news this morning in the hockey world. Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew Gaudreau killed in an accident last night. Obviously, both big-time hockey players at Boston College. Matthew was playing in Worcester, actually, as well, in the minors. And Johnny has been a star in the NHL for years. A 7-time All-Star, faced the franchise in Calgary and now in Columbus. And you talk about an electric guy in college, especially. I got the chance to watch him live a few times in college when he was at BC, and he was something else, as evidenced by winning the Hobey Baker, the Heisman Award of college hockey. He was every bit the best player in the country. He was appointment television in college hockey, which is pretty rare, but we were blessed to have some pretty good ones in Boston at that time. In fact, 3 straight Hobey Baker winners from Beanpot schools. Jack Eichel the next year at BU is another great example of that. But Johnny was just head and shoulders above every player, which was crazy because he was head and shoulders under them. He's not a big guy, very quick, incredible stick handler. And it's just one of those guys you watch in college that you were like, this guy, he shouldn't have even come to college. He should be in the NHL right now. And he proved that in his NHL career. But a guy who always gave back a ton to the community too. Won the Lady Byng Award for the most gentlemanly player in the NHL. I think that was 2017. Just a horrible story. He's from Jersey. He was basically in his hometown. He and his brother were cycling around, and they were riding bikes basically in their hometown, and they were killed by a drunk driver. They were in town for their sister's wedding. Sisters was supposed to get married tonight. Like, just unbelievably sad story. By the way, the driver has been arrested. 43-year-old Sean Higgins charged with 2 counts of death by auto, held without bond in New Jersey. It's just a truly, truly awful story and some real tragedy that has hit BC hockey the last couple of years, obviously with the death of Jimmy Hayes as well. And yeah, I think it was Pete Blackburn put out there thinking about Kevin Hayes, who his brother also played at BC, passed away a few years ago. And now his line mate at BC, Johnny Gaudreau, just like that, taken from this world. I mean, just truly, truly awful stuff. And, I mean, the phenomenon around Gaudreau in college was pretty incredible for college hockey. Johnny Hockey, as he was called, and people questioned whether it was going to translate into the pros with his frame, and it absolutely did. Man, it's tough to hear. Really tough to hear. I mean, just get a fucking Uber, man. Another story of why you should just get a fucking Uber if you're this drunk driver. I mean, it's just awful. It's just awful, and I can't imagine what that family's going through right now. So obviously, thoughts and prayers to them and the Gaudreau family and all that's been surrounded by them. But just tough news today for a guy who really took the Boston college sports scene by storm. Really held a captive audience in college hockey, and of course, I mean, you could argue working on a Hall of Fame career. You could argue that 7-time All-Star, man. Truly a terrific player, especially in his time in Calgary, but the guy who's the face of the franchise for Columbus now, and they got to kind of pick up the pieces, and so does the family. So we're gonna talk some Oasis. That's coming up next on the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. He is so back. He is so back on the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. Braden Murray.
Cameron Stewart.
Back in the building.
Back in person.
You might ask, what massive occasion could bring Braden Murray back in studio? It would need to be cataclysmic. It would need to be something like, I don't know, something impossible like Oasis getting back together.
I would definitely, maybe that could bring me in.
This guy. Since it's been so long, I got to ask.
Yeah?
What's the story, Morning Glory?
You know, when you said that we were doing the show today, you said to be here now.
Now.
So.
And if you didn't think he was going to be here, or you think that he's not here in actuality, don't believe the truth. Any rebuttal?
No.
We've almost run out anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, Braden Murray. You might think he's small, but he's standing on the shoulders
There's
of giants.
one, yeah. There's one.
Oasis is back, brother.
After 15 years.
What was your initial reaction to what I have described as the greatest news in the history of human history?
Well, the news, they posted the I guess the teaser on Sunday. And I think you had texted before, like maybe you were in the message boards or something. You somehow were on top of it before they sent out that big be here on the 27th. It's like, oh, wow.
I get into these things, yeah.
But I was very excited. I didn't think that we would see this in your lifetime.
Sheesh. Shots. You weren't thinking, oh, man, this announcement's coming 3 days before the 30th anniversary of the Definitely Maybe premiere?
I thought that they would have
going to be some re-release.
I think it'd probably be. I thought it would have been a re-release, but the fact that they had so much, they posted on their personal accounts and the official Oasis account made me think, oh, this is probably going to be something much larger than just, hey, here's a cool new vinyl pressing.
Yeah. Yeah, which they've done before in terms of like posting about it individually, but it was not kind of as orchestrated as this.
It was a very concerted
that
effort.
anniversary is today, by the way, August 30th, 1994. How about that?
How about it?
one of the greatest
Debuts?
the greatest debut album in rock history.
The greatest debut in rock history.
Cultural importance.
Okay. When I would say like Led Zeppelin 1 was pretty important.
I'm just not a Led Zeppelin guy. Led Zeppelin's one of those that I understand why people like them. It's just not for me.
Boston.
That is a big time one. Yeah. Which features one of the greatest songs ever written on it. Yeah. More Than a Feeling. But there are some bands that people really like that I just don't even really get the allure to. But yeah, I guess Led Zeppelin. Not for me. Oasis though.
Back to Oasis. Yes.
At the time, Braden, as you probably learned in the documentary you watched recently, which is one of the great music documentaries I've ever seen, Oasis Supersonic, that like the music industry, especially in the UK, was not in a good way. The Stone Roses had broken up. Basically, they weren't making music at that point. Grunge wasn't as huge in the UK as it was in the US. Because if you look at the US, man, I mean, for me, grunge and gangsta rap were the only things that were really popping at that point. Pop music, I don't think, was doing well. I'm not a big fan of 80s music in general. I know you're kind of wishy-washy on it. And people were yearning for something different. And for an older crowd, something of their youth. A good guitar rock band.
Right.
That wasn't all about, big hair and screaming. And that's what Oasis brought to the people of the world. It was simple. It was relatable to some extent, and it fucking rocked, man. It rocked.
And he sounds like John Lennon, so I think the British probably like that even more.
A little bit. Yeah. And clearly their musical stylings take after the Beatles. Sure.
I saw it was like an old magazine article, and it was George Harrison talking about Oasis. He was saying, like I love Noel, I just don't like Liam because Liam seems like a bit of a twat. And Noel goes, I mean that's understandable. If you don't meet Liam, he definitely comes off that way. But we still love you, George. I thought that was.
I'll bet Noel feels that way about Liam. So.
Probably.
And definitely did for 15 years.
Liam
we don't
Gallagher.
even know, we don't have any confirmation that they even spoke between the breakup and whenever this talk started of a reunion. Obviously, they would have had to talk to each other at some point.
I mean, they were in a room for a photo shoot.
Yeah.
So.
They might not have spoke. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it gives hope to so many things in life that these two could bury the hatchet and give the people what they want. How did you? I told you to watch the documentary. You've now listened to the full discography twice.
I have not gone to the full discography yet.
I thought you did it in the spring too.
No, I got to the same point as I did this time. Just Be Here Now.
The first three,
and then I got.
I mean, that overall is what you should know about Oasis. But there's some good gems in the.
And I pressed play on the first title track, the first track, and the fourth album.
And would that be Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, or would that be the Master Plan?
Oh, I didn't go the Master Plan. I went Standing on the Shoulder of Giants.
Master Plan you should do. It's all B-sides.
And
it rocks, including the title track, The Master Plan, which is a Noel song. Dance if you want to dance, please, brother, take a chance.
Okay.
So you watched the documentary.
Yes.
Like how you really just knew Oasis's music for the most part. Is that fair in saying? Like you knew, the brothers hated each other, but would you say you knew a lot of the Oasis story before that?
No, I didn't realize how quickly they rose.
Yeah. And when I first watched that, when it came out, which was I think 2016, so I was in college. Like I was a bit of an Oasis fan by then. I wouldn't say a huge Oasis fan, and it struck me just how massive they were. Because America, we know them for Wonderwall and Champagne Supernova,
right?
And most Americans, that's it. That's all they could tell you. I at that point knew they were a little bit bigger. Like I knew some of the other songs, but you see that, you're like, holy shit, Nebworth. Yeah. 500,000 people in one weekend, 4% of the British population applying for tickets. Like that's insane.
That's massive.
That's insane. Also, speaking of the magazine thing, there was one magazine cover, I think it was NME, that they showed in the documentary that I wish I could find a copy of. I would love it as a poster. And it's early Oasis, and it says, "Never mind the Bullocks. Here's the Sex Beatles."
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that fucking
rocks.
Rocks, man. That rocks. What was your favorite part of the documentary? I love talking about this.
My favorite part of the documentary. I like the rehearsal footage.
Yeah.
Like they say, because it opens with them at Nebworth and going out on the stage, and then like it backtracks to like an early take of, I don't remember what they were playing. I think they were playing All Around the World.
Could have been. That was one of their demos early on.
And I was like, oh, this is sick. 'Cause I hadn't seen any of this footage on Twitter.
I think they show some of the first time they performed.
Yeah.
Don't Look Back in Anger, like in the empty. Empty.
I thought that was very
Sheffield.
cool.
I thought that was cool. There's some great videos of them on drugs.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Liam, I've never been an abuser. I've been a user.
I've been a user. Yeah.
That is, I think, because a lot of people hadn't seen that kind of behind the scenes footage at that point. That's where the first like Oasis reunion traction came from. Was like, my God, look at this, man. Like they loved each other, dude. They were two brothers and a couple of lads from a council estate, as they say. A couple kids from the projects they didn't have a pot to piss in growing up.
Yeah.
And they are the biggest rock stars in the world. In the span of like
4 or 5 years, yeah.
It's insane. Noel joins in like
91.
early 93 or 4. The band started in 91.
Right. Oh, right.
And Noel comes along and starts writing songs, and within like a couple of months, they have a record deal with Creation. And August of 94, Definitely Maybe comes out, and it just rocks that shit. And you are also in a stage of fandom that I remember quite fondly.
Really?
It seems like you've had your favorite Oasis song change a few times the last few months.
Yeah.
Which you're such a music connoisseur. I think that happens with you with other bands.
Oh, absolutely.
That you've
absolutely.
known for a long time. What is your favorite song by Oasis?
I think right now I've been waffling between Columbia
Okay.
and All Around the World.
Okay. All Around the World for Be Here Now.
It's Getting Better, Man, is also a great song.
That's a good one.
Cigarettes and Alcohol, classic.
That's good.
I like the title track, Morning Glory.
That one gets underrated, I think.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes by me. Like,
Glory?
I just, when I'm going through,
Yeah.
like, I'll think of that album, obviously, for the huge hits. Don't Look Back in Anger is my favorite song. And Wonderwall and all that, and Gas Panic or Hey Now. Hello is a great song to open an album. And I just kind of forget about Morning Glory, but every time I listen to it, I'm like, this shit rocks. Like, this is as good as any Oasis song, really. It's not the best, but it's on that tier. You know what I mean? Thoughts on Be Here Now, the album? Because as you saw, I don't know if you saw that in the documentary. I think it's mentioned a little bit. It was much maligned. It was... Actually, I don't think the documentary...
No,
goes
cut
up
off
to
at
that
96.
point. Yeah, I've watched the Be Here Now documentary. Yeah, you're right. It ends at Nebworth. But that, I guess, is the beginning of the end in a way, in terms of they're never quite as popular again. They do have some big songs and some number one hits after that. But Be Here Now was the most anticipated album in, like, British rock history. And it was a disappointment when it came out. Your thoughts on the album Be Here Now? I
can see why it was a disappointment. It's just, I mean, it's a noticeable drop off from...
It sounds a lot different from the first two. Yeah.
From Definitely Maybe and from What's the Story, Morning Glory. But the first time I listened to it back in May, I did not rock with it. I didn't like it. I thought it was just too bloated. I'm going to bring in a weird... I'm going to bring in a weird comparison here, but it reminded me a little bit of Donda, the Kanye album. Okay. Which I think is just entirely too many tracks, too long. And Be Here Now, I feel the same way. But the second time I listened to it, because I had seen the documentary, I had listened to the first two albums in a span of a couple of hours. I was like, this rocks.
Yeah, it does kind of rock.
once you get past your initial,
yeah,
once you get past your initial reaction of there's still 2 minutes left in this song.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do for
They're
2
just saying,
minutes?
No.
Yeah.
Which the Beatles did too.
Right. I think All Around the World might be like, to me, the most clearly influenced by the Beatles track.
Yeah, it feels like it's got like a little, the chaos of it is a little day in the life.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
That has one of my favorite Oasis lines of all time
Mm-hmm.
because it beautifully represents how simple their lyrics are. And that is, where you're going to swim with the riches that you found. You're lost at sea. Well, I hope that you drown.
Mm.
It's great. It's great. I think about that album a lot because I don't know the music industry too well today, but I feel like in the context they were in, that album would have come out in like a year later.
98?
I'm saying if it was the same thing, but it was today, because you think about it, it's a sprint. 94, they come out with the debut album. It's so huge. They got to go with the second one. You know, you see them, they're in Wales. They're kind of locked in a dungeon because they had these songs ready to go, and they're the biggest band on the planet. It's like, we need another album in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've done the Nebworth thing. This comes out about a year after Nebworth.
Right.
It's like, we've got to pump this out. And, you know, for a tortured artist like Noel Gallagher, he's like, well, I kind of had all the songs for the first 2 albums already ready to go.
Right.
Now I got to, like, what am I doing now? My life is completely different. What are my songwriting inspirations now? And I just think that's something that in today's landscape you could have survived on for a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it might still have been maligned, but I think it would have come out like a year later.
Yeah, take some time to do the festival circuits, tour.
You know? And like,
take a breather.
In a weird way, I think music can be a little more patient today.
I think
you know what I mean?
You're right, yeah.
Even like 10 years later, it might have been. But
release it 10 years later? Oh.
I'm saying, again, yeah, the context of it. So like put instead of 94, 95, 04 to 05.
Yeah.
They could probably wait an extra year for that.
Right.
And it does it derails a little bit of the popularity. Like, they're not as big a cultural phenomenon after that. But they were still making big time headlines. They were still touring the world. They were still massive everywhere but the U.S. And you got a nice peek into why they didn't catch on in the U.S. in that documentary.
Oh, yeah, because they're on crystal meth.
Yeah. Like, it's that
Which
to me
I had
is
heard
like
that story
weird
before.
Butterfly effect. Like, you don't. What if they aren't on crystal meth the whole time they're in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? They would have been massive here as well.
Yeah.
And that might have affected ticket prices next year. But, like, they would have been huge here too. And would that have been better or worse for Oasis? You know, does Be Here Now really sink them? Because they kind of had banked credit amongst the rest of the world that even though they failed in the U.S., they could still be pretty successful. But, like, I don't know. It could have changed a lot of things. They're on tour next year.
I would say that my perception of the brothers has changed. I went in as, like, a Liam Gallagher guy. I thought he was just really funny because he's great on Twitter.
Yeah.
I thought that the reason the band broke up was because of Noel. But learning more about Noel, I think I'm a Noel Gallagher guy now. Just because, I don't know, he's kind of behind the scenes, does his own thing, lets his brother take the shine. By the way, Liam Gallagher, like during the height of their fame, just leaving the stage halfway through.
Yeah, it's a rock star.
What the hell is that?
Heckling his brother?
That pissed me off.
That's
why I'm a Noel guy.
Dude.
That's why I'm a Noel guy now.
That is a rock star move. And by the way, Liam has been on the train for Reunion for 10 years now. It took Noel getting back. Noel was the one holding out.
Well, because Liam is I think he might be a bad person.
I don't think he's a bad person. No, he was a young rock star. He's not a bad person.
I guess.
Liam's great, man. I love both of them. If I had to pick one, though, I am a Liam guy.
That makes perfect sense for you to be a Liam guy.
Why is that? You think I'm a bad person?
No, just you have very similar personalities, I think.
I think. Oh. No, you're not a bad guy like him. You're just a lot like him. I would be Noel Gallagher, or I'd be Liam Gallagher. I'd be Noel too, I guess. Noel is the genius,
Yeah.
and Liam's always admitted that. Like Liam,
But if I
wrote,
had
two
to be,
songs, so
if I had to be anyone in the band, I guess I probably related most to the bass player, Quiggs,
Quigsy,
the guy who had to drop out
yeah,
because
I miss me bit.
yeah, I was like, you know what, I see myself in you.
I'm in the biggest band in the world, and I'm just like, man, kind of miss my chick.
Yeah.
Want to watch the football. Can't keep up with it all. Bonehead, though. Bonehead's great, man. He just kind of rides along.
Yeah.
Would you be the third Gallagher brother?
There already is a third
Yeah,
Gallagher.
I know. Would you trade places with him?
With Paul?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
What an existence, man.
Yeah.
Paul's just like a pizza delivery driver or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he's not even like, he wasn't even like tagging along big time with Oasis. He was just the third brother. That must be such an, I would love to like write a book about Paul Gallagher.
He's like Cooper Manning.
Yeah. Like, you know, and at least I guess Cooper had something of had a career cut short.
Mm-hmm.
It is still pretty similar, but like, did Paul do any kind of music thing?
I don't know.
Like, did you know? I found out Eminem has a brother, a half brother.
Oh, okay.
Who's like much younger. So like when they were kids, he was kind of like taking care of his brother.
Mhm.
Eminem was, but I didn't know that. These guys that don't latch on, I have a ton of respect for. A ton of respect.
Yeah.
I guess Paul would be part of that. But could you imagine being like the middleman in this? Like Paul and their mom
Yeah.
have been the middlemen in this for 15 years, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like they still visit their mom. They just don't do it at the same time.
Yeah.
You know,
They don't
or
do
like,
Christmas together.
I that's what fascinates me about all of this is the surrounding cast,
Mm-hmm.
right? The mom and the brother, each of their kids, Noel and Liam's kids, like they knew each other at one point, and like there's old pictures of Liam with Aeneas.
I did a little reading, and like I didn't delve much further into it, but apparently at some point in the early 2000s, Liam questioned the paternity of Noel's kids.
Yeah, like that was Liam doing. I don't want to say a joke. I guess it wasn't a joke, but just being a dick. He used to be a dick. Yeah.
And Noel did not take that very lightly.
Yeah.
Which is understandable.
I could understand that.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go?
The UK? Probably not. I would like to.
What if they come to the U.S.?
So
Which
they're
rumored.
They're rumored to come to the U.S., but only 5 cities, only 5 dates.
None of which are in Texas.
None of them are below Tennessee. And it's during the school year. So
It is?
yeah.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, it's late August.
Yeah. Which I think the one I was looking at that I could most realistically go to was either the one in Mexico City or the one in Chicago on the 30th of August.
That's a year from today.
Yes.
That is a year from
And
today.
it'll be
and
a
the
Saturday.
31st anniversary of definitely maybe.
It'll be a Saturday, which makes the most sense.
It'll be a football Saturday.
True. Both football, probably. Both footballs.
What?
Football
Premier League?
and footy.
Yeah. I mean, yes, but I'm saying like for you cover
Oh,
football
yes.
games.
I think they'd understand. Hey,
To
Mr.
me,
Pose.
dude, if they come to the U.S., I cannot miss it.
Mm-hmm.
I have been waiting for this for too long. If it's somewhere I can drive to, I don't care. Like I'll pay it.
Right.
I'll pay it. But you actually did the pre-order whatever. What was it?
Yeah, so they had the option
Which I should have done.
on Tuesday. You could sign up. Like, it's kind of. It seems like it's kind of like a raffle
Yeah.
where you enter your name and your details, and you get the chance at a pre-sale, which it goes live today. I think they said they'll let me know by 9. So this is a live reaction. Did I get into the ballot? Let's see.
This is huge.
This is massive.
This is a huge moment. And you had to answer who the original drummer was.
I did not get in.
Oh!
I got the
They
question
probably
right.
heard this 2 seconds ago that you weren't going to go, and so they took you
I got the question right, but yeah, you just sign up and you have to answer a question. Who was the original Oasis drummer?
Which is?
Tony. M something.
Tony McCarroll.
McCarroll.
Tony McCarroll.
Keep wanting to say Tony McElroy, but I know that's not right.
Tony Mackerel, baby. Tony McCarroll. Yep. I have never been like, not to play this world's smallest violin here, but you know my music taste. There's not a lot of acts I can go see live. In fact,
Right.
I've been to very few concerts in my life. Not that I don't love concerts, but I don't have anything against them. And there's so few of my favorite artists that I'll be able to see. You know, the
Right.
Stone Roses probably aren't getting back together again, although they've done a reunion tour in the past. The Cranberries obviously won't be able to do it. The Beatles, the Stones.
I mean, you
Doors.
could go see Paul.
Yeah, I did see in 2018 Liam Gallagher and Richard Ashcroft from The Verve.
Yeah.
And it was kind of awesome, man. It was a small venue, small half indoor, half outdoor venue in Boston, and it was a lot of the crowd of, you know, British people who like to dress up like Liam and wear their ponchos. It was May. It was a good show. But I can't miss an opportunity like this, man. This would be once in a lifetime. And you know what it could be? A monumental moment, Braden, is I might, after doing an Oasis concert, might have to apologize to Swifties.
Are you going to dress up?
No. Well, no. I mean, I'll wear an Oasis shirt.
Okay.
No, I won't dress up like that. But, like, what if I get emotional when they start playing a song?
Oh, well, I think music always elicits that type of response. I don't think that's a bad thing.
I do think the Swift thing is a little much, though.
Okay.
I don't know that I'll get to that. But you know what I mean? Those videos where they're like, they start playing a song,
I mean,
and the people like freak out or they faint.
It's been 15 years.
Right. Versus Taylor Swift, she tours all the time.
Right.
And like, I get it. If that's your person, that's your person. But when an artist like plays a song that is theirs, that is very popular, and all you can do is scream or faint or just sob uncontrollably like that one girl in the video, like that I don't really get. But like, yeah, man, if it's been 15 years and I'm there and they're playing "Don't Look Back in Anger," my favorite song, I might get a little emotional, man. A song I have lyrics tattooed on my chest, like that will get me emotional.
I think that's a reasonable reaction, reasonable response.
I'm just worried that what if I sob uncontrollably like that one girl with the Taylor Swift concert? Oh, they're like sitting outside the concert.
Yeah, if you go and don't actually get tickets and you still cry outside the stadium, then I might make fun of you a little bit.
What if I'm crying because I can't get in? I need to get in.
I'll be laughing at you from inside the stadium.
Oh man, have you seen? We got to wrap this up soon.
We do.
Have you seen like any of the concert videos or anything on YouTube? Like, have you seen any of their live performances?
A couple, yeah.
They're fucking electric, man. I know it's obviously not going to be like that. They're, you know, in their 50s, but you watch some of those old videos, man, they fucking rocked it. Like, absolutely nailed it. And Nebworth is an interesting one to watch because they don't really, at that point, they hadn't, you know how some artists will change the way they do their live performances.
Yeah, they change the arrangement.
Like, yeah, so Don't Look Back in Anger becomes very much an acoustic, like, sing-along, for an example. But in Nebworth, they basically sing all the songs straight.
Right.
And it fucking rocks, man. But Main Road 96, I think, is my favorite concert they did. Unfortunately, at Manchester City's ground. But it's iconic. Liam has the drill top jacket that he just pulled off someone's locker in the locker room. And it's like an iconic piece of clothing that I want so bad. It doesn't say Man City on it, so we're okay. It's just an Umbro one. And he wears that. It's awesome. That's when they do Come On Feel the Noise, which is they do a great cover of. Braden, we are going. Maybe not together, but we will both be at an Oasis concert. We
should at least coordinate when they do come to the United States. We should see, hey.
Dude, you, me, and Red?
When can you, yeah.
I would do that. I'm playing around with the idea of, you know, saving up some money and doing a couple different cities.
Okay.
Like
go multiple. Dates.
I did at one point in my life make a promise to myself: if Oasis got back together, I would quit my job and follow them. Something to think about. something to think about. Other things to think about, Guys Naming Dudes.
Guys Naming Dudes.
Which is coming up next on the Cam Show, which is Rogue Media Sports Network with Braden Murray and Cam Stewart. Next. Guys Naming Dudes. Braden Murray alongside Zach Burke, too. We're back with Guys Naming Dudes. It's been a couple weeks.
It's been a while.
What we do, as a reminder, a refresher, we talk about the players that only streets remember. We do it on Fridays. It's a way for us to get in our nostalgia, get in our feels, and to educate the sports fan on who they're missing out on. Would either of you guys like to go first?
I don't mind. I feel like it's my duty to kind of go first in a way. So I will gladly take
duty.
that. I did. I did.
That's great. That's great.
My guy, which I feel like I just have a feeling Cam's going to get it really quick for some reason.
Because of my autism?
Maybe.
Autistic tendencies.
I figured, and we kind of talked about it a bit, it's a, college football starting. So this is
we're
guy,
all doing college football guys today.
Yeah. So this is a guy
man, I love football.
who had a decent, I'd say, NFL career too, but had a phenomenal college career.
Okay.
And
Vince Young.
No. And it
decent would have been a stretch.
also nice to see, considering that his impressive run was not too long after another running back at the same school had a very impressive run. It was a time where this place was kind of turning out just great running back after great running back. I kind of gave away the position without even thinking that.
No,
but,
you did give away the position. Yeah,
I mean,
you didn't kind of. Yeah,
that's true. I will give this little tidbit too. He was the first high school football. I've got to find it here, but I'm pretty sure he was one of the first high school football players, which doesn't make sense. But that's what it says in Wikipedia to be on the cover.
One of the first high school football players?
No, he became the first high school football player to appear on the cover of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Annual Magazine, which seems a little odd to think about it now, but because I figured they would have done it before then.
Yeah, I think, that's jumped off the page to me the first time I read that fact as well.
So you definitely know who it is. But when I read,
I think so, yeah.
Reading that, it just makes me think, I thought there would have been somebody before, but that's a pretty big honor.
Yeah.
His college career, because I will give some of his highlights before Cam goes ahead and guesses exactly who it is. He was a first-team All-American. He was a two-time first-team All-Big 12 player, a second-time All-Big 12 player, and a third-time All-Big 12 player. All 4 years he played, he was on an All-Big 12 team. He was the Offensive Freshman of the Year in 2001. He was a 2001 Holiday Bowl champion, a 2003 Cotton Bowl champion, and a 2005 Rose Bowl champion. He was also the Doak Walker Award winner in 2004. Wow.
And he comes in right after a Heisman winner, basically, and right before a guy who was a stud, like an all-pro in the pros. Yeah.
Now, he was good enough, obviously, in college to be a high first-round draft pick.
Top 5 pick, probably.
Yep, he was number 4. His NFL career, he still gained 6,000 yards, 32 rushing touchdowns. Like, not bad, but not the same career that he had in college, because in college, he was a beast.
And even then, not the career he had in high school.
Exactly.
I mean, one of the great high school football running backs ever to come out of this state of Texas, a.k.a. one of the greatest high school running backs ever, and a legend in West Texas.
I have his high school stats, 8,423 rushing yards in his career, which is still the most in Texas 5A history. Well, now I guess 6A. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's
his school plays 6A now. 5A was the highest.
And it is the 4th most in Texas high school football history as a whole. He led his team to consecutive state championships and rushed for a total of 15 touchdowns in 3 championship games.
3 consecutive state championships, yeah. And a national championship.
During his junior year, he rushed for over 3,500 yards and 51 touchdowns. This is still in high school.
Fucking incredible, man.
And then was, as we said, the first high school player on the cover of Dave Campbell's. Not to be outdone, he also played center field for his baseball team senior year, where he batted .361, had 4 home runs and 14 RBIs.
He batted 361. Is that what you said? Wow.
And this team will never win 3 straight state championships again because you can't do that out in West Texas.
I know that Cam obviously knows who it is. Braden, do you have any idea?
No.
He went on to play at the University of Texas, where he got all these, where he won all these championships and stuff. But
Jamal Charles.
That's the one who came after him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's in between there. Ricky was the Heisman before. Jamal Charles came after because Texas was a factory of putting out running backs there for a bit. So it's the one right there in between. Unfortunately,
I don't got it.
It might be one that's lost to history, though, because it was before Texas won the national championship. Texas had some very good teams while he was there, and they did win the Rose Bowl with Vince Young that last year. I forgot he was on that team. But they had some really good teams when he was there that couldn't quite get over the hump, and he was a good back in the NFL. I mean, I think one that they would do over again. They wouldn't pick in the top 5, the Bears, but that would be the pride of Midland Lee, the late great Cedric Benson.
It would be.
I don't know
You're
who
correct.
that. Yeah, I've never heard that.
Never
Really,
heard
dude.
That's
Cedric
a dude,
Benson was
man.
a dude.
I mean, like the lure of Texas high school football, and you talk about some of the great players ever. You have to talk about Cedric Benson and 3 straight state championships for Lee. I mean, at the time when this is going to get wonky, Texas high school football, when the landscape in Texas high school football was just about to change, where the West Texas teams could not compete at the highest level anymore. We talked about this with Aubrey the other day, actually. And it became a city game, or major suburb game, I should say. Metroplex, Austin, Houston. Before that, the little Southwest Conference out there, it was Permian and Lee, and Permian always had the bragging rights over them because they would win the state championships, and then Lee started doing it because of Cedric Benson. He was a man amongst boys, Braden. No one could bring him down. It was this unbelievable run by UT in terms of the running back position. And, yeah, pretty good pro. And, unfortunately, we lost him in 2019.
Yeah.
Big deal around the part of West Texas I was in, the great Cedric Benson.
A dude for sure, man. I loved watching
and always
him
get
play.
back to the community, too. That really appreciated that. I mean, that dude, that was like your prototypical running back, man. The speed and the power. He had them both. Much like Ricky Williams. In fact, he was the second Ricky Williams. And his college career really, I mean, you look at the numbers, wasn't that far off for Ricky Williams. Not quite Ricky, but you look at the UT all-time charts, it's Earl Campbell, Ricky Williams, Cedric Benson.
I think he's
not
technically
Jamal Charles,
still
not Priest
second.
Holmes, it's Cedric Benson.
I think he's still technically second on the. I was trying to look it up on the rushing, like behind Ricky. Like
bet.
he's still number 2.
No, that's incredible, man.
So.
What a player.
Yeah.
Braden, now that you've learned something today,
Okay. So since this tomorrow is Baylor's first game of the season,
yes.
I was thinking I'll take it back to my first ever Baylor football game, which was in 2007.
Okay, this is right in my wheelhouse. And let's think about this.
And I'll give you the team. It was Baylor homecoming. My parents weren't married yet. They were still engaged. They'll get married a couple months later.
It's a good history lesson there.
This-
Good family lesson
I didn't know
there.
that.
I like
I'm learning
that.
things now.
I was 4 years old. And at that time, and I still have a deep hatred for this team to this day, but our main rival was Texas Tech.
Okay.
Because we both stunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we played them in homecoming game.
Yeah.
They beat us 38-7.
Okay.
And when looking through the roster in the stat book for this game,
Uh-huh.
a lot of names I don't know.
On both sides?
On both sides,
okay,
yeah.
sure.
And they aren't worth talking. Sorry to these
Tech probably
guys.
went 6-6. Baylor
They were
probably went
7-3 at this point. After
Okay.
beating us, they were 7-3.
Yeah,
We were
Leach. Good
That was a
run.
bold
we were
game.
3-7. I will say that their quarterback threw for over 400 yards on our defense. which
Is that who
not-
this? Is that who we're
No,
looking
no,
for?
no.
Okay.
This guy played for Texas Tech. I believe he led the Big 12 one year in punt return yards, and he's still pretty highly ranked in the all-time punt return yards
For Texas Tech.
for Texas Tech. No, and the NCAA.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He's 21 all-time, and 5th in the Big 12
Okay.
all-time. He's a receiver.
Okay, I was thinking running back, so that helps me a bit.
And in this game, he had 108 yards on 8 catches with no touchdowns. Let me see his punt return numbers.
Is
Is he also like a monster receiver?
Yeah.
His senior year, he had over 1,000 yards.
Is he known for a certain play against the Texas Longhorns in his college career?
That I don't know.
Nope. Well, then it's not who I'm thinking.
I was
So I'm
4.
thinking,
I'm
okay.
thinking. I'm
Keep in mind,
scared
I was
'cause think
4
that
at
might be
this
the only
point.
guy I know
See, I was thinking
from that
of
Tech team for receiver.
Torian Henderson for a bit, but that was earlier, and he was a running back, so I don't know where we're
I was
going
thinking of someone who played for years in the league.
here. Yeah, for the 49ers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy did
Raiders.
play years in the league, but not for the 49ers.
So it's not
Okay.
Crabtree. I thought
It's
it was
not
Michael
Michael Crabtree.
Crabtree.
It's not Michael Crabtree.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Hold on.
You might.
Did
know
he
this
play
better
for the
than I do, man.
Patriots?
That's what he's most known for.
Is
Oh.
it Wes Welker?
No.
No.
Oh, it's,
but it's the other one.
Yeah. He's played from the Woodlands.
To win a couple Super Bowls with the Patriots.
He won 2 of them.
Yeah. He wasn't. Oh yeah, I guess he wasn't there for the third one.
Mm-mm.
Hold on. The only other
It's
white
the other
receiver I can think of is
slot
Danny
receiver
Amendola.
That's who it is.
Yeah.
Amendola went to Tech?
Yeah.
Why did I forget
It's like
that
the same
Amendola
career
went to
path
Tech?
as Wes Welker. It's
Yeah.
actually pretty crazy.
Yeah.
2 under-recruited small slot receiver white guys that played at Tech. They both went undrafted. They both started on special teams to make their career. Okay. Danny Amendola.
I completely forgot he went to Texas Tech.
The only thing I remember about the
Very
game
good playoff player, man.
is that Floyd Casey got really hot.
Yeah.
We were up at the top.
Concrete, old.
Mhm.
Up at the top, and we got blown out. And I remember this old man gave me his Twizzlers. And he was like, "Never take candy from strangers, young man, but here you go."
But this one's okay.
This one's okay.
but
I'm a
you can
nice
trust me.
stranger. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
It's not laced with anything.
Yeah.
And then I napped, and I don't remember anything about the rest of the game.
Danny Amendola.
That's nice. Okay.
Touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Game-tying 2-point conversion in the greatest Super Bowl comeback ever.
That's why I said mine might trip y'all up a
AFC
little bit because
championship.
he's more known for his professional career.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Big and put him through the
Clearly.
lens of my
Well,
very
hell, I
specific.
completely forgot where he went to college. so.
yeah. Man, I mean, not that he was a bad regular season player, but he was never as dependable as Edelman was.
Mhm.
But in the playoffs, man, he fucking turned it up. Especially that year Edelman was hurt. That was the year he caught the 2 touchdown passes in the AFC Championship, including the game winner late on.
Can
He
you
was
explain
awesome.
something then to me,
Please.
Cam? Because I'm just thinking
love
now,
to.
since you are obviously the resident Pats expert,
Mhm.
Yes.
was there like a Texas Tech to New England just kind of like pathway we didn't notice? Because it's the 2 wide receivers. I know they drafted or they signed Cliff Kingsbury right after that too.
Yep.
It seems like a lot of Texas Tech players at that time
I can
found
think
their
of-
way to New England.
I can think of 5 Tech players who played under Belichick.
So
It's not insignificant.
he and-
it's
maybe
probably
he and
more than
Mike
UT.
Leach. Oh yeah.
So Amendola, Welker, Cliff Kingsbury was a backup
Yeah.
for a year or 2. Adrian Waddle was a tackle that played for the Patriots in the second dynasty run, and Sammy Morris was a running back.
Good
for
old
them
Sammy
for
Morris.
2 years.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, that's more than probably UT and A&M. I can think of 2 A&M guys off the top. I can think of 2 UT guys off the top.
So there's a
David
Texas
Thomas, the old tight end, ended up playing for the Saints as well. And Malcolm Brown, the defensive tackle, not the running back from UT, was a first-round pick. They also had from A&M Ty Warren, who was a really good defensive tackle in his prime, and Bethel Johnson,
the wide receiver, baby.
the speedster.
Yep.
Bethel Johnson. So, yeah, a little bit.
All right.
Wasn't like Rutgers. They had Rutgers guys every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good call, Braden. Good call.
Thank you.
Nice.
My guy, third and final guy.
Your dude.
Okay.
My dude. Sorry, my dude.
And we all.
We'll find out in a second why it's kind of funny, but my guy, my dude, is a quarterback of great college fame. Didn't really do much in the pros, but does have a Super Bowl ring, but you wouldn't really know it, so don't go off that. Was setting all kinds of records in the late aughts. Was playing in the Big 12 for a very pass-happy offense.
Okay.
And whenever I think of him, I think of the 08 Big 12 South, the 3-way tie, and probably the best season the Big 12's ever had at the top, where OU, UT, and Tech all tied at the top, and OU was the one who got to go to the Big 12 championship game. because they had all beaten each other. Texas had beaten OU. OU had beaten Tech. Tech had beaten UT. And I really, really thought this is who Braden was going with for a second before he said punt returners, because this guy was the quarterback.
Okay.
Has all kinds of college records now. He's been an OC for years. One of those guys who you knew wasn't going to translate to the pros. He played in Canada a little bit too.
Okay.
And was notably snubbed from the Heisman Trophy finalists.
But that's like a
in
long line of Tech quarterbacks there for a bit.
Yeah, numbers wise, he's the best one.
Well, he was the quarterback for the team that I was talking about. Yeah. Oh, it's Graham Harrell.
Graham Stanton Harrell is the guy, is the dude. Graham Harrell was, just chucking it all over the place, man. He was the prototypical, and there was a couple of those guys in the late aughts that you were like, no, these guys aren't going to be good in the pros, but man, if you just casual football fan, you're like, this has to be the best quarterback in the country. Harrell and Colt Brennan, of which the Memorial Studio is named after, may he rest in peace, also falls into that category. But like you said, a lot of Tech guys do, right? Kingsbury,
I
Graham
remember
Harrell.
B.J. Simmons was like one of the first ones to do that because the Texans took a run on him early and he just never turned into anything. I think even maybe a little bit of Sonny Cumbie kind of had a little bit of it
absolutely.
too. Yeah.
That was the other guy I was thinking of. Sonny Cumbie for sure was that. And so Braden, this is good. You'll have somewhat of a point of reference, a memory of this guy. That Tech team in 2008 was incredible. Like, it's looking back on it now, I wasn't rooting for them at the time, unfortunately, because of my proclivities that I have since neglected, since denounced, right? Denounced.
Yeah, denounced.
But looking back on it, is like that would have been really good for us for college football in the Big 12 if Tech had won.
Yeah.
And they would have never let us hear the end of it, but like Tech gets nothing, man. Tech gets absolutely nothing. As bad as it could be for Baylor at times, Tech never wins shit. And I would have been okay if they won the Big 12. And if they won the Big 12, by the way, they would have gone to the national championship game in 2008. Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree, one of the best 1-2 punches.
Danny Amendola.
Quarterback receiver combo I've seen ever in college football in my time watching it. Danny Amendola was somewhere in there in 07.
He had 1,000 yards in 2008.
Was he on that 2008 team too?
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure 07 was his last year. That's bad. That's bad on me. That was a hell of a team, man. Fuck. And they beat UT. It was such a huge deal. Wow. Graham Harrell was the dude, and I remember it was a big deal when he was not invited to New York for the Heisman finalists. I remember they did an interview with him on ESPN at Tech's practice field, and I said, my God, this is the most Southern-sounding person I've ever heard at the time. From Brownwood originally, but played at Ennis, won a state championship at Ennis. And I mentioned the Brownwood thing because his grandfather was an assistant coach to Gordon Wood, arguably the greatest high school football coach ever to come out of Texas. How about this? I'm going to go through this record time. The NCAA record book, the records that he had, it still holds. Okay. Still holds. I want to make sure that wasn't when he left. Most completions in a season. Most passes completed on average per game in a season. Almost 40. Most passes completed per game in a career. And that's 31.2 over his career. Okay? Like average per game. Mm-hmm. Most games gaining 400 yards or more.
Damn.
He did that 13 times. Most games gaining 400 yards or more in total in a career. He's done that 20 times. He did 13 in a season. Most yards gained on average against one opponent per game in a career.
13 400-yard passing yard games in a season?
Oh, sorry, 11 in 13 games.
Still,
11 in 13 games.
Yeah.
That's insane. A 24 career, basically 2 seasons starting. How about this? Most yards gained on average against one opponent per game in a career. So, like, if you're talking, this guy dominates this team more than anyone. How about this? He averaged against this team in his career 486 passing yards per game. It's got to be minimum 3 games. And he did that against The University of
Texas.
I love that for him. I love
He
that.
always showed up to play
Oh,
UT.
man. Most seasons gaining 4,000 yards or more total offense. He did that 3 times. Most games gaining 400 yards or more total offense in a career.
I forgot how much
21
he just swung
times.
the ball
Yeah.
around. Damn.
And there's this whole list of other minor things or where he ranks in some of the major categories and where he's the top in some of the minor ones. Like, he's still 7th all time in season touchdown passes, which, I mean, the game has opened up big time the last 6 or 8 years in terms of passing touchdowns in college football, like passing in general. And he's still 7th all time, 48
That's
career
crazy.
touchdown passes through 48 touchdown passes in a season in 07, 45 in 08. Both of those are in the top 15. That's awesome, man. Graham Harrell was very good.
Mm-hmm.
And now is the OC at Purdue. He's been a couple different places, USC, West Virginia, and he is hitting Texas hard.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow some good high school football around this state, quarterbacks will have offers from Purdue. In fact, one of them at Midland Legacy, formerly Midland Lee, Cedric Benson's alma mater, who was a 4-star, came out of there last year. He is at Purdue right now. And one of the best quarterbacks we saw, Braden, last year from Dallas Parish Episcopal is committed to Purdue. So, Graham Harrell effect, man. Those 3 great Texas college football players to end out this Boston show. Cedric Benson, Danny Amendola, Graham Harrell.
Just imagine, though, that, well, granted, you don't have to because Harrell and Amendola played on the same team, but just imagine that Tech team then with Benson in the backfield.
Would have been good. Imagine them having a defense, though.
That's true.
Had Zach Burke, Braden Murray. This was Guys Naming Dudes. That was also the Cam Show. We'll see you on Monday where we're going to talk about stuff. Okay, I'm done.
We are Rogue Media Sports.